Okay, so picture this, right? It's the end of a long day. You've got a million things left on your to-do list. Emailing clients, booking flights, and you haven't even thought about dinner yet.
And wouldn't it be great if instead of like juggling a million different apps and tabs,
You could just tell like an AI to just go handle it.
yeah, that's exactly the kind of AI we're going to be diving into today. This isn't just asking, basic questions anymore.
No more like, what's the weather? This is book my flights, order my dinner. The real deal.
Exactly. It's like having a super powered, like, personal assistant.
Okay, so speaking of which, let's talk about Nalima.
Okay.
It's being called the first community-driven large action model, or LAM for short. So break that down for us. What does that even mean?
All right. So think of it this way, right? A traditional AI, like if you asked it, where's the nearest sushi place? It might give you like, a map or a list of restaurants. But a LAM, Nalima, that'll actually go ahead and order you your spicy tuna roll.
Whoa, hold on. So it's placing the order on, like, Uber Eats for me.
Exactly. It'll confirm the delivery time, maybe even remind you to grab chopsticks, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so it's not just takeout, right? I mean, the document gave that example about
Right.
saying something like, hey, Nalima, so Xavier's sharing this folder. It's called Photo Shoot, and it's on my Google Drive. It's going to be there around 4 p.m. Can you grab all the PNG files, convert them to JPEG, compress them, and then email them as an attachment over to FedEx for printing?
See, and that's what's really impressive here. It's not just, picking up on keywords. Nalima's actually understanding the entire process. Like, think about that whole workflow. It's navigating multiple apps, understanding different file types, and then it has to interact with, like, an external service like FedEx.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of actions.
It's like, I don't even know, it's juggling chainsaws while riding a unicycle. Except the chainsaws are like, all these tasks, and the unicycle is the entire internet.
A very chaotic unicycle, but yeah.
But, okay, there's one more thing I want to get into here, and this is where it gets really wild. Nalima's community-driven, right?
Right.
And the document mentioned Alice and Bob.
Yeah.
Can you remind us about them?
So Alice is a scientist, and she needs Nalima to be able to access, like, live satellite data for her research, which, out of the box isn't a standard Nalima feature. So what she does is she teaches Nalima how to use NASA's API. Think of an API like a way for different software to talk to each other.
Okay, I'm following. So she's basically teaching Nalima a new language so that it can talk to NASA's system.
Exactly. Now, Bob, who's making a documentary about, let's say, climate change, can then be like, hey, Nalima, remember that whole satellite data thing Alice taught you? Can you grab that and then, like, use it to create a script outline for me, focusing on, like, deforestation in the Amazon?
And boom, just like that.
Just like that.
Bob's got his script outline. And the thing is, he doesn't need to know anything about coding.
Exactly. He doesn't have to do any of that API stuff. He just gets to benefit from what Alice shared with the whole Nalima community.
It's like the snowball effect, right?
Yeah.
Of knowledge and capabilities just constantly growing and evolving.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting, because Nalima, as a lamb, thrives on that.
Yeah.
It means that, its abilities can just grow exponentially, shaped by, like, what its users actually need and their expertise.
So we've seen how Nalima can basically turn us all into, like, productivity masters. But I think the big question is, how does any of this actually work? I mean, it's not like we're all coding wizards here, right?
Oh, it might sound a lot more intimidating than it really is. The document walks us through, like, teaching Nalima how to summarize content from a website, right?
Yeah.
And they're using something called Python, which is known as a pretty beginner-friendly programming language.
Okay, so Python. When I hear that, I'm picturing, like, lines of green code just scrolling down a black screen. Like in The Matrix?
No, it's not quite that dramatic. Think of it more like writing out a recipe, but like a very specific recipe that Nalima can understand and follow.
So instead of, like, add 2 cups of flour, it's what?
Be something like, Nalima, find the headline on the page, grab all the text that's inside these paragraph tags, but maybe ignore anything that's in the sidebar. Stuff like that. You're basically teaching it how to read and understand the structure of a web page.
So you're giving it instructions, but instructions tailored to the web.
Exactly. And what's super important is that testing and refining process.
Yeah.
And actually, the document mentions this example. Someone was trying to teach Nalima how to summarize this CNBC article, and it was, ironically, about anxiety around AI.
Oh, wow. So the AI is anxious about AI. That's very meta.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what was interesting is that, the first version of the code they wrote, it had a little bit of a hiccup.
Okay.
But instead of just spitting out, like, a nonsensical summary, Nalima recognized that something was off.
Really?
Yeah, and it basically said, hold on a second. I'm not sure I understand what's actually important in this article. Can you give me a bit more information?
So it's asking for clarification.
Exactly. Like, it knows what it doesn't know.
That's pretty amazing. It's like it understands the limits of what it can do, and it wants to make sure it's giving you what you need.
Yes. And that's really important in building robust and trustworthy lambs. That communication loop between humans and AI, especially as these tasks become more and more complex.
It's like Nalima's not just blindly following orders here, it's trying to understand the purpose, like the why behind what you're asking it to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that takes it to a whole other level of, sophistication in a way.
Yeah.
And the thing is, once that new skill, like summarizing a web page, is successfully integrated, it's then available for everyone in that Lima community to use.
Right.
And that's what the document was highlighting about, the democratizing aspect of all of this.
Right.
Each contribution, no matter how big or small, ends up benefiting the entire user base.
So it's not just about, getting a summary of a web page or having Nalima order a pizza. We're talking about a tool that can learn and grow based on what the community actually needs.
Exactly. And that's what really sets these lambs like Nalima apart. It's not just a piece of software that's stuck with whatever it was programmed with,
Right.
It's constantly evolving and changing in real time.
So instead of waiting for some big tech company to decide what our AI assistants can and can't do, we actually have the power to shape that future ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty exciting thought.
It really is. Think about it this way. What are some tasks that you find yourself doing over and over again that maybe could be automated? Or what kind of information would make your life so much easier if you had it at your fingertips, but right now it's just too difficult or time-consuming to get?
You're saying instead of just daydreaming about our ideal AI assistant, we could actually start building it.
Exactly.
One Python script at a time.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe the code you write to, say, teach Nalima how to analyze sales data for your small business. That could end up helping thousands of other businesses streamline their operations. And that's the power of this whole community-driven model.
It's incredible. Really, it's amazing stuff. We've gone from ordering sushi to potentially changing entire industries all in one deep dive. It feels like we're just scratching the surface of what might be possible with lambs like Nalima.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's so exciting. There are so many possibilities. And with these kinds of tools, we can not only imagine them, we can actually build them.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this. If you had Nalima at your fingertips, what would you program it to do? What amazing things could you accomplish with the power of this community-driven AI by your side? Think about it. And who knows, maybe we'll be back here soon exploring that incredible world that you helped create.